Well, this is Barry Heyman for Heyman Law on the Better Days Show podcast.
Welcome, Barry Heyman. You know what I'm
All right.
saying? Lawyer extraordinaire to the Better Days Show podcast. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah. Um, Barry, how did you got started?
Well, my first job out of college, I went to school for music business,
Hmm.
and I started interning at a record label, Polygram Records,
Oh, okay.
and I worked in their business affairs department.
Hmm.
And when I got out of college, they had acquired Def Jam Records. So that opened up an opportunity for me to work handling licensing, paying the songwriters on all the songs coming out on Def Jam, all
Okay.
the albums. And I got more and more involved, like looking over contract work and working with their business and legal affairs department, dealing with samples and things like that. And so it sparked my interest in going to law school. And I went to law school at night while working full time at Polygram, which is now Universal. And
Hmm.
and then when I got out of law school, I just try to continue to stay in the business. And I found an opportunity. The lawyer I actually worked with at Polygram
Hmm.
was a lawyer at another company called Eagle Rock Entertainment, and provided me an opportunity to work there. And so that's how I got into the music and entertainment law. Yeah.
And talking about law school, where did you go to school?
I went to New York Law School. It's
Hmm.
in Tribeca. It's a standalone school. It's not NYU School of Law. It's actually just New York Law School.
Right.
And they have an not only a full time program, but unlike many other law schools, they actually had an evening program.
Hmm.
And so I was able to work full time and then take the subway from Midtown Manhattan down to Tribeca and go to school for 4 days a week for 4 years.
Hmm.
It was pretty grueling, but eventually I started seeing light at the end of the tunnel there.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. So as I mentioned, I actually started when I was in college. I did go to NYU undergrad for
Hmm.
music business, and I did internships there. And I got my
Okay.
foot in the door, and that led to that full time job I was talking to you about.
Okay.
Now in law school, I felt like I had to start all over again because I had to I was kind of in dealing with contracts, but I really wanted to get like a law firm experience,
Hmm.
and just other types of experiences. So it's hard when you're working full time and going to law school at night. It's
Hmm.
pretty much you got 13 hours a day pretty much locked up. But in the summertime when law school was out,
Hmm.
I actually did intern while I was full time at Polygram and a manager in the department at the time.
Hmm.
And I interned at a small boutique, music and entertainment law firm just to get that experience.
Right.
And during, so I did intern and have that, law firm experience as well.
You put together, these network events.
Hmm.
You want to tell the people, how they can find out about your network events.
Well, right now it's a bit tricky because of everything going on with COVID, so that kind of brought everything into a halt. Um, Before that, and hopefully after
Hmm.
this, we're going to have more of those events. Um, it is called Toasted Almonds,
Hmm.
and we launched it out of New York City. I have a colleague now that relocated to Paris, France, and it's conducted there in a little bit of a different format, more of a sit down kind of format based on, I think, what works more, works better there culturally, how it to network with others. Originally, this industry, like I was just saying now about whether it's a lawyer trying to get their foot in the door,
Hmm.
artists are trying to network with other collaborators. It's I can't imagine any pop album, any hip hop album that's just done by one person,
Hmm.
writing it, recording it, distributing it.
Right.
So they co-write, they They might be an artist. They need a producer, an engineer. They need to take photo shoots. They want to have someone to do makeup or fashion. They want to be fashion stylized. They want to do sponsorships. So my idea originally was to just bring everyone under one roof together.
Right.
It's nice to do it like, oh, I thought of something. You can team up with them. But, it's just easier to some degree for others, not maybe for me to produce an event like this, but for others to really just, work the room and not just be specific industry. Like this is only independent film. This is only music. But it's really just creative industries. And creatives need to support each other. A photographer needs to be hired, let's say, by others, and someone needs to create a website or branding, etc. So it was just really to bring a broad collective of creatives under one roof, and it's just my way of, I think it's a good thing to help others, and then you're there and you're around it, and if they think of you to do the legal work and the business contracts, that's great. And if not, I'm really happy to be able to do that for others. I really do genuinely like to support others in their endeavors.
I get
Thank
the
you.
emails all the time for it.
Yeah.
And
So
I link people that's in the area. Not sure who showed up, to one
okay.
of them, but I
Yeah.
usually let up and coming artists know about your events.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, man.
Yeah, it's really got good word of mouth, and it's spread.
Right,
People say, "Hey, I heard someone on the street talk about the event or this and
right.
that." I was like, "Wow, that's amazing."
Yeah.
So yeah, I look forward to continuing them.
You also a DJ, right?
Yeah, I DJ.
Yeah.
I mean when you asked how I got into law, I mean the real root of it is that I got into playing piano,
Mm.
and I just really took to music, and I started studying with a classical piano, and then from there, when you're coming up of age, high school or whatever, we got into hip hop and to dance music, and a lot of my friends had turntables, techniques, and mixers, and I couldn't afford it, and couldn't afford the vinyl and all that. The whole it's an expensive endeavor. But while I was going to law school, they started segueing into like CD mixers,
Mm-hmm.
and it was affordable. I mean, relatively. I was working full time too, but like $400 or $500 can get you all in one a Newmark mixer,
Mm-hmm.
with two CD,
Right.
and a mixer. And I had acquired at the time a ton of CDs, so I just needed a creative outlet, and I just started on my, after studying a little bit here and there, I would like just try to, match beats and play songs. And then I just said, you know what, maybe I'll just try to get a gig out of it, and started going to my local bar lounges and started DJing. And I thought, and as I was going on the legal side, I was like, well, this is another way to connect. It's about connecting and really understanding the business from all different angles. So maybe I had a friend or a client that was DJing, and I was like, hey, I'm DJing. You want to come DJ with me, and you could be my guest,
Right.
kind of thing. So, what I do now, or what I've done, again, pre-COVID, and hopefully again after this, will be, primarily DJing in New York City at an art museum, a Himalayan Tibetan art museum. I do a lot of world beats now and stuff like that, down tempo,
Okay.
chill out pop music. So, it really kind of keeps me fresh and on my toes on what's going on out there. And so, yeah, I really like to be involved in music and entertainment from a variety of perspectives, and
Sound
I
good.
also teach. I also have taught, over the years too. So, I just really like to immerse myself, I guess, in
Right.
all different ways.
And so let's say if I'm a up and coming artist, I'm buzzing out there,
Hmm.
locally. Would you consider to work with me? Like,
Well, yeah, it's even if you didn't have a buzz, I mean, quite
mhm,
frankly, or anyone that's creative should if they're especially if they're collaborating with anyone else, which likely they are,
Mm-hmm.
they should have proper contracts in place. They should be registering their copyrights with the Copyright Office.
Mm-hmm.
They should make sure that the name they choose for their artist or group or whatever it is available, as a trademark.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that to me, is regardless of whether they're hot. If they're hot, and they're buzzing, then, they should still obviously be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition, if there's ways, they'll probably be getting a lot of offers and
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. And I think first and foremost, they're going to need to understand if it is legitimate, which sometimes, you got to do your research. Clients have to do their research too.
Right.
But sometimes I might know the company, the other people, and I might just say, oh, yeah, they've been around for 10, 20 years, blah, 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 So sometimes that can be helpful for a client to know. And then we can kind of go through the deal terms and see. Sometimes you got to make sure, they don't want to lock themselves into like an exclusive arrangement. Maybe they do, depending on the deal terms.
Depends on the
But sometimes,
deal.
and what the opportunity is. But with management, these deals can be for many years. And sometimes, talent just signs it kind of thinking they know what they're doing, or they can get out of it if and when they need to.
Right.
But it can be difficult. And particularly if they do take off, that buzz really turns into like a real deal. It could be a hindrance if they're got locked into an exclusive that actually
Mm-hmm.
may kill that buzz. Or if they are buzzing and they really can go to a higher level, it really can potentially exclude bigger opportunities that may have been out there. So it really becomes a lot more potentially strategic along the way. So working with a lawyer from the get-go before the buzz is important to make sure you got the foundation, in place, your co-writers, your producer, if you're self-distributing, whatever platforms, copyrights, registering with ASCAP, BMI, if you're doing that, or Sound Exchange. You know what I mean? Just kind of really understanding your business. It is a business at the end of the day.
Right.
And as a professor, and, that's a reason why I got into that, was just another way for me to learn how to communicate in a very straightforward, simple way with my clients, and to also inform students of the importance of doing these sorts of things out of the gate. Yeah, I mean, I definitely stand up for the creative talent. I mean, I feel like that at this point in my life, and it's been kind of gravitating towards that, is really just to support the creative community, make sure that what they're doing, that they know. I hate to hear people signing deals that they weren't aware of, or
Right.
feeling floundering, they're lost, they don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be, whether it be a consultation, whether it be a recommendation on a book to read. I had to consult someone the other day on an independent film, which was sold, and the person thought they were still involved in getting back end royalties, and they're not. And they thought they were involved in the decision making on where it was going to be exploited, the project, and they're not. And it was really heartbreaking to hear the person understand and have the realization at that point what was going on. And I wish I had been there earlier. At the same time, I can, explain to them and others that, at some point people do get burned. I'm sure, either you've been it yourself, Frez, or around it. And it's that burn that maybe kind of catches you to say, okay, well, maybe I do need to like align with and do my business properly. Right. And not just not so blindly. You got to kind of go in with your eyes open a little bit and know what you're doing. The deals may not be the best coming up, but that hopefully will change, and those deals will get better and better as your stature in the industry grows and grows.
Right.
But at least you go in with your eyes open and know what the deal is, and know that like you got to give sometimes a little bit more than you might have want to ideally, but it's not like the deal is what it is now will be the same deal in 5 years from now. Hopefully, you're getting bigger and bigger and more popular and buzzing and this and that, and those deals get more favorable and more favorable. So, and then maybe if you're not as hot, you kind of maybe do a lesser, you know what I mean? You got to keep pushing and it's not. I'm sorry about that. It's not It's not always the same. It's always moving. You know, people think a contract is a contract, but not true. It's always who's got the relative bargaining power, where you need to go with your career. If you want to get there as a creative, then maybe you got to do something that, you got to give a little bit more to get there. And now you're there. Now you can build up. So it's kind of creative on the business side too. How you attack it strategically from business, but also contractually too.
Yeah, Barry, I understand. You touch on teaching. You
hmm
know, you want to let the people know where where you teaching and
Okay.
things.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I got my start at NYU, where I went to college. I taught at the music law course. I was friendly with the one one of the teachers there, and she was going on maternity leave, and so I actually co-taught the class with the professor that I had years earlier. I had taken his class. So after that, I kind of was like, this is a great outlet again for me to connect with students to help as they're kind of coming up. Also for me, public speaking, another way to kind of communicate effectively with my clients. And from there, I kind of landed an opportunity a couple years later at the Institute of Audio Research in the city, IAR, primarily an audio engineering school. Unfortunately, that school is no longer with us, but it was a great opportunity. I
I
launched their music.
IAR that was on Broadway
It was
or
close to Broadway
University or
on University
University.
Place.
Yeah, University Place. Yep.
Yeah, right below Union Square. At the time when they were started that over there, it wasn't the hot spot. It became the hot spot, and real estate in the city can be pretty expensive, especially for a school right in the center of downtown Manhattan. But I don't know exactly how it went down, but I did have a great opportunity to launch a music and entertainment business program and bring in over 20 instructors that are now all over, not only the tri-state area, but there's schools in the city like School of Audio Engineering. It's kind of like one of those schools. Now I'm at Five Towns College out in Long Island. It's creative arts, music, and music business, entertainment business school. So that's where people can find me. Yeah, just it's another part of what I do for students that are enrolled in the school.
Okay.
Occasionally, I get asked to speak on various industry panels, and so sometimes that is more directed to the public, and so again, hopefully, we'll be doing more of those. I did an interview recently for the Florence Belsky Foundation, where I interview a colleague of mine, Barry Bergman, who is a music manager. People can find that online as well. Yeah, so occasionally I'm out there, and those are available for the public.
And what about? Are you thinking about to start teaching? Online live stream.
Yeah, so right now, the college that I'm at, we are both on the ground, but also have launched the online portion. So we're basically a hybrid teaching right now. And so after, last semester, we actually went fully online during the pandemic, but now we are, so we're all the students, all the professors are practically there about half as much as time as they otherwise would be. It's a smaller college out in Long Island, so they can, it depends on where you are and things like that, but they're closely monitoring it. And after the fall, the Thanksgiving break, we're going to move on totally online for the rest of the semester.
And Barry, what advice would you give to a kid, going to law school, you know,
Okay.
um, that wants to get into entertainment law? What advice would you give them?
Well, there's a lot of different things to consider. I mean, if they're already in school, in law school. That's a whole first step is to deciding where to go.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, I went part time and was simultaneously trying to work my way up the ladder in the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
That's a nice approach because then you're developing relationships simultaneously over the 3-4 years.
Hmm.
But that's a lot of work, and a lot of people just don't want to do that, so they go full time to law school. I would say just like I was saying about interning is really even though I interned as an undergrad, getting into Polygram, I interned, while I was there at a law firm at night. It's just really making connections and trying to learn as much as you can about the craft, the skills required, um, not only about the substantive area of law, but about how you conduct business. How do you bring in business? You know, how do you file? All those sorts of things. It's really, I like to learn from the ground up. So, as many experiences as you can in law school, in addition to just interning. When we actually got laid off when Polygram and Universal merged,
Hmm.
my job relocated to the West Coast, and I was in law school. So that's when I really was able to dig in and actually work at different big firms, big law firms, and just really kind of see the various areas. Entertainment seems to many people to be like, wow, I didn't even know that area existed, and so niche. But actually, entertainment law is quite large. Within that, you have music and theater, film. Sometimes they put sports and fashion and film is major motion picture independent, just like music. There's
Hmm.
major labels and independent.
Hmm.
There's digital platforms like Spotify and iTunes and Amazon, etc. And then there's publishing, the songwriting industry. There's
Hmm.
litigation, which is like going to court. There's doing contracts. So there's just really a lot of areas to explore, and I think to really figure out what might be the most of interest to the person, is a good start, and your traditional major record labels and publishing companies. There's more out there. There's non-traditional companies, like let's say a sneaker brand that might have a division that wants to get involved, and they'll put money instead of in advertising and marketing into creating music and putting out creating a record label.
Hmm.
So you got these non-traditional ways of or companies that are of areas that you can really kind of sneak into, if you really depending on how you want to attack the market. So keeping your ear to the ground, what's going on, how are companies really, getting into the industry, and then that's how you can get in.
So yeah, Barry, how can the people find you on social media?
Okay. Yeah. So people can find me. I am on Facebook. I have a law firm there, Heyman
Hmm.
Law, Heyman Law. There are a few of them, but it is the one with, I guess, a big H logo. And it mostly says entertainment and intellectual property lawyer out of the New York area. Also, Heyman Law. I have an Instagram page. And you could all. My website is just Hey Law, Hey, like hey, what's up, law, law.com. So, people can people sometimes link with me initially on Facebook or Instagram, and then we Heyman Law.
Okay.
So people can probably direct message me there, but through my website, there's all traditional email info and phone numbers, etc. So you
Right.
know, yeah, either any which way.